All right, my friends. So, because of popular demand, I'm going to do a video on the whiteboard about the COVID-19 coronavirus, the withdrawals for the CARES Act, your ability to take distributions from your IRA. Now, again, the qualified retirement plans, which fall under ERISA, they may or may not be more stringent. We're looking at IRAs, so you have to call your 401k provider. A guy I consider my friend called his 401k provider, and the lady on the phone was like, sound like they, who knows? The guidance was not there yet. IRAs can be different, all right? So IRAs are different. More lenient is a custodian of an IRA. Always remember, a custodian is just the group who holds your money. That's it. So we're going to take Josh and Charlotte, again, just like I did yesterday, but we're putting this on the whiteboard. And everything is the same with Josh and Charlotte other than one thing. So they're taking Social Security, their income, they're going to retire, they're going to die. Everything is the same. We're just comparing one difference. And that's the thing. You got to be careful whenever you're doing like A/B testing. And so in like Facebook, I don't do any Facebook ads, but Facebook ads or Google ads or in any kind of ads, you got to do A/B testing. You can't say, here's one, just if you're doing any kind of advertising, you got to say what is getting more clicks. I used to do a lot of Facebook ads. It's incredibly interesting. I found that, and I used to do Google ads too. It's fun. Google ads were not quite as precise as Facebook ads. Like, I'm not even on Facebook anymore. The one thing I do miss about it was running ads, because it was incredibly science, man, science. Using copyright and stuff it was incredibly fun to do, and it wasn't that expensive. It was nuts. Anyway, long story. My wife just bought some stuff on a Facebook ad, as a matter of fact. I tell you, I always think, man, I got to get back on there, do some ads, because I think there's opportunity. All right. So what happens when you're doing an A/B test? In this case, you're saying this is example A, this is example B. You don't want to have a bunch of different changes between A and B. You just want to start with one thing and one thing only. We have A, all right, X, Y, Z. We have B, X, Y, W instead of Z. Does that make sense? You don't want to change X, Y, and Z. We don't want to go from X, Y, Z to A, B, C. That doesn't make sense, because then we don't know what is changing. You want to change one thing and one thing only to compare. So in this case, everything stays the same except for them taking a $100,000 distribution right now in the year 2020 and paying taxes over the next 3 years on a $100,000 distribution. It's in an IRA. We're changing it to a taxable account. All right, now we're going to let it grow. It's invested in a total stock index. We're just going to let that sucker grow. Or we're going to take RMDs if we have to, if it's still in the IRA. All right, that's all we're doing. That's literally all we're doing. My man Scott brought up a good point. He goes, aren't you double counting your IRA? No, aren't you double counting the investment because you have the income that you got to pay tax on? No, because what I've done is I programmed the software in this case. Wow, I'm a data. No, I'm not. I just clicked on the thing where I'm spending excess cash flows. I'm not actually using that to build extra wealth. You guys can't do that. Every cash flow always goes back into a taxable account. So you got to just be careful. You got to say, look, instead of having it as income, you just got to say, I'm going to essentially say, what is my tax I have to pay for these 3 years, and just make that as an expense for those 3 years. That might be a little bit, might not make sense, but you don't want to have as income, because if it adds to your income and then it's going to go back into your taxable account, you will be double dipping, essentially, adding to your asset base, and that you can't do that. So just remember, if it's $6,000 extra in tax that you're paying because you're doing the distribution, just say expenses, an extra $6,000. Just open up a box. You have $6,000 of extra taxes for year 20. $6,200 for year 21, $6,400 for year 22, or something like that. And then it won't be an income. It won't add to your portfolio, if that makes sense. All right. I hope this makes sense. So let's go into this. I know we're 4 minutes into it. I'm just starting. All right, so what happens is we got two scenarios. We got pre-withdrawal. That's right now. Josh has an IRA in his name. All right, it's in the Vanguard Total Stock Index. It's $100,000. We're just going to leave it be. At the end of death, their total liquid net worth, Charlotte survives Josh by 8 years, is $1.642 million. $1.642 million, of which 30% of that is in an IRA. All right, that should say something to you. 30% of 1.642 million was that 600,000 or so, something like that, which is in an IRA, which means the heirs are going to have to pay OI, ordinary income tax, on that 30%. All right. Now we got total taxes paid was $556,000. So while Josh and Charlotte were alive, they paid over $556,000 of total taxes. All right. Which is interesting because it's just interesting. All right. Taxes paid in 2020 when they did the convert. Now again, they didn't do these guys did not take the, and I hate to say conversion, it's not a conversion, it's a distribution. It's a penalty-free distribution because of the CARES Act. And again, you will have to take this up with the IRS. If they say, well, why did you do the distribution? You're going to have to show that you had some coronavirus issue regarding of loss of job, loss of income, you had coronavirus, anything like that. I have no clue how that's going to shake out. You're going to have to figure that one out. In year 2020, because both Charlotte and Josh both made $50,000 a year, and they had FICA, because remember, FICA is the big one that people forget. They paid $15,000 in taxes. All right. In year 2041, before the year before Josh's RMD, because remember, Josh has a $100,000 IRA, they pay no taxes. They're just living off Social Security, that's it, and they're doing just fine. The year 2055, and when Josh is 85, the year he departs this world, they paid $11,425 in taxes. The year 2056, when Charlotte is single, remember, there's no such thing as qualified widower unless Charlotte is taking care of kids. You get married finally jointly in the year that your spouse dies. The year after that, you are single. A lot of people don't understand that, and they're just wrong. Charlotte paid $15,741 in taxes. You can see what's that, $4,300 increase in taxes. I mean, that's pretty significant. Their total income. Charlotte dies, I think, dying at 90. Josh dies at 85, but Josh is 4 years older than Charlotte. Is they got $3.968 million of income over the course from right now until they die. 3.968 of course of income from right now until they die. And that includes their salaries and all that. Everything else is the same. Now we're going to take the post withdrawal. We're going to take $100,000. We're going to put it into a taxable account, not into a Roth, because a taxable account allows you to pay a third over the course of 3 years. So they're going to pay $33,000 taxes on $33,300, $33,300, $33,300 over the next 3 years. They're going to increase their income by $33,333 to be precise, which means they're going to pay a little bit more in taxes than this year. 2020, they paid $21,000 in taxes, whereas before they only paid $15,000. So it's going to cost, and I'm rounding up or down, I can't remember. I think I'm just rounding. It cost them $6,000 in taxes in 2020, another $6,000 or so in 2021, another $6,000 or so in 2022. It's going to cost them $18,000 total in taxes in which to do those conversions. So you see, $21,000 in 2020, $6,000 more in taxes than they were paying if they did not do the conversion. Their total net worth, though, is more than the total net worth of not doing it when Charlotte dies. They got 1.674 in liquid assets, whereas before they only had 1.642. That's $32,000 more in liquid net worth. But it gets better than that, all right? Because if we take 1.642, and that's 16.2, and that's 30% of that. 1.642. Hold on a second. 1.642. Times 0.3. That's $492,000 that they got to pay tax on. So if we're leaving it to the heirs, and we'll just say the heirs on the 25% tax bracket, they're going to lose another $130,000 in taxes right there, because they have we'll just say $500,000 in an IRA left over. Here they got more liquid net worth even before taxes, but only even at death, but not a huge amount, but $32,000. But here, only 15% of that is in an IRA. So 1.674 times 0.15, that's only $251,000. So here's $500,000 in an IRA. Here's $251,000 minus times 0.25. So here they're going to lose $62,000, and here they lose more. They double that. And that's where you get the $130,000 or so that I talked about yesterday. I hope that makes sense. So after taxes, they're leaving significantly more, over 6 figures more, because they did this one thing. That's what makes it so attractive to me. So they paid total taxes $541,000, and they're leaving $130,000 more of liquid net worth after taxes. I think it's fantastic. Now, this includes, see, I'm actually even giving this less of a benefit of the doubt because I'm using a 5% turnover, which generates capital gains. And if you have an ETF, it's not going to do that. I also have a qualified dividends, I think at 2%, maybe 2 or 2.5% qualified dividends. Either way, this includes qualified dividends that are coming out from the total stock index. I think it was 2.5%. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. And it has a turnover of 5%, which generates some capital gains. It's not a huge amount of capital gains in taxes, and off the top of that, then the 12% bracket anyway for long of this, so they don't pay much in that regard anyhow. But still, I think I'm overshooting how much capital gains and dividends they're ultimately going to pay. But be it as it may, they pay less taxes. They pay $15,000 less in taxes, even though they have 4.06 million of income, 3.96 million of income, 15,000 less in taxes. That's what, 100,000 more of income. Not too shabby. So they're paying less taxes on more income, leaving more to their heirs as well, tax-free or after tax. We already talked about the taxes paid in 2020. They paid $6,000 more in 2020. Taxes paid pre-RMD when Josh is 71, nothing, all right? Taxes paid when I die, we only paid $8,100 because we're married filing jointly, and the bulk of our money is a non-IRA. In fact, it's all a non-IRA. We don't have any IRA anymore. Actually, that's not true because we were contributing $7,000 a year to an IRA. But still, at the end of the day, we're only paying $8,100 in taxes because we had moved $100,000 out of the IRA when I was 49, and that money grew. It's kind of like estate planning. Not only is a gift or a wonderful estate planning tool because it gets it out of your estate, but you're getting the growth out of your estate as well. So I think a lot of people overlook the fact, you try and go out, is that not only when they make a gift, are they getting that money out of their estate in terms of estate tax, but the growth that would have come from that money is also out of their estate. So double whammy. Making a gift is a double whammy to remove it from your estate. So here, $81.86 is the tax we paid in my last year, whereas $11.45 is the tax we paid in my last year because we had IRA distributions, RMDs, much higher than we did because that $100,000 plus the growth was removed from my IRA. The next year, when Charlotte is single and she survives me, we only pay $14,000, or she only pays $14,233 in taxes, whereas before she was paying another $1,500 more. So now that's a bigger jump from $81.86 to $14,233, but significantly lower on both ends, especially right here. And so from the years of 71 until I die 14 years later, I'm paying significantly less in taxes, or Charlotte and I are, than we would in an IRA. And then, of course, the last year that that Charlotte's alive, she paid $23,000 in taxes. The last year for which she was alive, she paid $26,000 in taxes when she had that money in an IRA. Let's see, income, and then both years, this is the interesting thing. So we had $101,000 of income the last year I was alive, which case we paid $11,000 of taxes on $101,000. So basically, effective tax, 12% tax rate. Here, though, we only paid $8,100 of income the last year I was alive of taxes, $8,100 of taxes on $101,000 of income, essentially in a 10% tax bracket. That's our effective tax. And our effective tax rate, our margin was 10%, but our effective tax rate was 8%. Here, our effective tax rate is 11%. Here is 8%. That's the difference between the taxes that we paid with married filing jointly with me versus Charlotte being single. The next year, she only has $66,000 of income, of which she's paying $15,749 in taxes, and here she's paying $14,233. So there you go, friends. I mean, again, this is something to think about. There's a lot going on. It's just of interest to me. I'm curious by this stuff. I enjoyed immensely. And I got to tell you, if there's so many caveats. Like I don't know what the IRS. My income in March dropped like a brick in water for sure. It's picking back up now, but is that? I don't know what that means. I mean, would IRS say, wait a second? Looks like I don't know. I have no clue. And my stuff's at USA is going over to Schwab here in the next couple months. Which I have no idea. I have no idea how this works. But not to think about this, especially if you've been affected by coronavirus, especially if your income is going to be hardly anything this year. I don't know how you don't consider taking a pre-59.5 distribution putting in a taxable account where your income is low. I think you make a big mistake if you did not do that. Regardless of this right here, in terms of it, will it prove to be beneficial in the long run or not? I think you got to think this through, man, because the benefits they're bountiful for sure. Look, I get it. You got to put some thought in this. Well, this is your money. How much thought do you put in buying a car? How much thought do you put into your fantasy football team? How much thought do you put on arguing with people about climate change? I mean, just do some thought on this and say, this might make sense. And look, you can spreadsheet this, you can model it until you're blue in the face. At some point, you just got to say, taking advantage of the tax code, married filing jointly as opposed to single, is a good thing. If my tax bracket is low because coronavirus really hurt us income-wise, but we expect it to be back in 2021, I don't know how you overlook this opportunity to at least consider it. Hope this makes sense. Put some questions in there. I'd love to hear them, and I'll answer them as they come through. We'll see you.